From ancient mythical creatures to local legends and everything in between, here are 9 scary monsters that people think might actually exist. Number 9. Giants. Giants are mentioned in Native American, Hindu, Greek, and Norse myths and legends, even the Bible, and of course countless fantasy series. The idea of men and women as tall as buildings has been around for a long time. But could they be real? The Guinness World Record for the tallest man ever is Robert Wadlow, who measured to be 8 feet 11 inches tall. There have been rumors of archaeological remains of giants found all over the world, from Saudi Arabia to the United States. Which brings us to arguably the biggest piece of evidence for giants, a cave in Nevada where findings of giant bones were said to be discovered. Native Americans told stories of the Stinkier, red-haired giants that were around 10 feet tall who terrified them with their cannibalistic tendencies. Guano miners from Lovelock, Nevada went into the cave and discovered it was full of artifacts, so in 1912 they notified an archaeologist who then found the bones. Unfortunately, it seems that the dig was a mess, and many of the bones were either lost or destroyed by accident because they weren't kept in the proper conditions. Later excavations didn't reveal any giants. Other supposed discoveries of giants were made in Missouri, Ohio, and California. Skeletons and mummies found that were said to measure 7 to 9.5 feet tall were found in mounds and caves, but the remains were either destroyed or disappeared. Granted, whether there are giants alive now is a bit up for debate, but if they were real then, they could be real now, even if they're not as large as fantasy makes them out to be. Maybe they are just tall people walking among us. Number 8. The Skunk Ape. One of the biggest legends in the world today is that of Bigfoot, aka Sasquatch. But in Sarasota, Florida, there's another creature that roams in the forest that might be scarier than Bigfoot, and it's guaranteed to be a whole lot stinkier. This is the tale of the Skunk Ape. This creature has reportedly been seen all over the south of the United States, with Florida being a particular hotspot, and they are just as their name suggests. They're big, they're powerful, and they stink to high heaven. They were first spotted back in the 1940s and have been seen by many ever since then. In 2000, the Sarasota Sheriff's Department was even sent pictures of the skunk ape, though whether it truly was one is certainly up for debate. In fact, despite many people from the area claiming that skunk ape exists, the Sheriff's Department has firmly stated that it is just a myth. However, to this day, people in the South state that they have seen the skunk ape and that it's still wandering around out there. It's just very rare, and apparently they like to terrorize local pets. Number 7. Shapeshifters. When it comes to superpowers, a common one that people would like to have is the ability to shapeshift. This is the power to transform your body into anything you want. The Wonder Twins, Beast Boy, Animorphs, and some people in True Blood have had this ability over the years, but the basis of it comes from ancient legends of actual shapeshifters existing, and there might be some in the world today if you believe the old stories. One of the biggest proponents of shapeshifters being real are the Native Americans of the United States, who have many legends about these shapeshifters with special powers. They say they are to be feared because they have caused trouble in the past. According to them, they have been known to use their shape-shifting powers to turn into friends or loved ones and cause all kinds of mischief and pain. The biggest reason that they could actually exist today is quite simple. If you don't know that someone is a shapeshifter, they could be a shapeshifter. After all, their ability is to transform into humans, animals, and other shapes, and they can use their power to blend in. So technically, the world could be full of shapeshifters and we wouldn't even know it. Which is no doubt one of the reasons that the hit CW show Supernatural made sure to feature shapeshifters on their series multiple times, doing what they do best. And now for number 6. But first, have you ever seen a strange creature you couldn't explain? Let us know in the comments. And be sure to subscribe if you are new here. Number 6. The Dover Demon. The year was 1977, and in the spring months of that year, a monster appeared. What's more, this monster was seen by 3 different people. In their statements, all 3 descriptions matched. It was 4 feet tall, had long, thin fingers, and a watermelon-shaped head. It also had glowing orange eyes. After the 3 sightings, the creature was labeled the Dover Demon. But also, after those 3 sightings, the creature was never seen again. Because of its disappearance and the fact that no such creature has been seen again since 1977, many have believed that this was the imagination of those three people, and it's fair to think that in many ways. But here's the thing. Despite all the negativity and dismissal, all three people remain adamant to this day that they saw what they saw. One of them swore by it so much that after he became a painter, William Bartlett wrote the following on a sketch of the Dover Demon. "I, Bill Bartlett, swear on a stack of Bibles that I saw this creature." Maybe he really did see a monster. Number 5. The Cyclops. In Greek mythology, the Cyclopes were a race of giants with a singular eye in the center of their forehead. In Homer's Odyssey, the most famous Cyclops was the son of Poseidon, but we all know that he got his eye plucked out by Odysseus. What might surprise many is that there is proof that Cyclops could exist today. While it might not be in the form of a colossal giant, sometimes there are people and animals born with one eye. This is a medical or genetic condition, and ancient remains have been found to show that this condition has been occurring for some time, which makes it all the more plausible that there are a bunch of Cyclops out there just waiting to be found. And it makes sense that in the past, people would believe that they were a different type of animal created by the gods. However, given that many who are born with one eye don't live long, finding a grown human, or even an animal for that matter, would be very rare indeed. Number 4. The Megalania. In Australia during the Ice Age, there was a creature that roamed the continent as apex predator of the land. It was a massive lizard, and it was called the Megalania. This wasn't just any lizard though. It was said to have grown to be 23 feet long and had a mouthful of teeth that were not only sharp, but its mouth was extremely venomous, which obviously made it an even more lethal predator. The Megalania would roam through the jungles of Australia and would get anything it could catch for a meal. This included the earliest settlers of the land. Legends of the creature go back to when the Aborigines first arrived. Which brings us to the question of, are they still around today? Well, despite no concrete evidence, there are some who claim that large lizard tracks were found, sometimes even inside their homes, and their livestock had strange injuries. The Aborigines swear that the creature is still around today. Number 3. Hobbits. When I say hobbits, you're probably thinking of Frodo and the little people from The Lord of the Rings who we know and love. However, have you ever wondered if they could actually exist? In the modern world, there are reports of actual hobbits being around in certain places. On the Indonesian island of Flores, it was rumored that it was once home to a tiny hobbit species called Homo floresiensis. Archaeologists uncovered the bones and teeth of these little people, and carbon dating placed the remains to about 46,000 years ago. Scientists are now debating on whether there was once a hobbit species that coexisted with Homo sapiens. Was there maybe a short overlap? The caves might hold the remains of humans who saw the very last hobbits. So what? Why is a hobbit scary? The stories of Indonesia say that there are tribes of small people wandering around in the more isolated parts of the country. But unlike Frodo and Sam, these hobbits are mean and aggressive, which likely means that you don't want to mess with them. Number 2. Dragons. While it's true that you might not think you want a dragon, there should be no doubt that dragons could be kind of scary if they were around now. While it's true that many people want to be like Daenerys from Game of Thrones because of how she rides and controls her dragons, it should be noted that for everyone else who is not her, facing off against the dragons is frightening on every level. After all, you're talking about creatures that could be over 100 feet long, if not longer. In the books that Game of Thrones were based on, the dragons were said to never stop growing. Their scales were near impenetrable in many cases. Lord of the Rings noted that the black arrows had to be specially crafted to pierce the dragon's scales. And in most mythologies, they could breathe fire. But could dragons actually exist? Technically, yes. Some tales of dragons have them as cave-dwelling creatures that hoard gold, so it could be that they're hidden from the world. In Lord of the Rings, the dragon Smaug slept for decades and only came out after Bilbo Baggins and the dwarves tried to take back the Lonely Mountain. The biggest piece of evidence, though, that dragons could be alive is that numerous mythologies have depicted dragons or dragon-like creatures over the years, just like the giants. From Mesopotamia to Egypt to Europe and Asia to pantheons of Norse mythology, all have talked about dragons. How is that possible that all of these different people described dragons or dragon-like creatures? Could it be that they actually existed and that the people from the ancient world really saw them? No one is really sure where the origin of dragons in culture and mythology started. The main guess is that ancient people would come across dinosaur fossils and assumed that if there were bones, the real animal must also still be around. However, there are also those who claim that ancient people came across giant lizards or flying beasts that have since become extinct, and the stories have been passed down. I'm not sure if it would be easy to hide if you were a creature who never stopped growing, but depending on how you look at it, at alligators and Komodo dragons and horny toads, perhaps dragons are still around us. Number 1. The chupacabra. There are fewer monsters that are as frequently seen as the chupacabra. It's been called many things depending on your translation, but its name literally translates to goat sucker, as in it sucks the blood of goats for food. The legend of the chupacabra is so pervasive that it's been seen in live-action TV shows and movies, as well as cartoons, and sightings of the creature continue to this day. The chupacabra was first spotted around the 1960s in Puerto Rico, but fast forward a few decades and you'll find sightings of the chupacabra in Mexico, the United States, and even in Chile. Most of the reports describe the creature the same way, too. A reptilian-like creature with an odd-shaped head that's as big as a bear, covered with fur, spines on its back, sharp teeth, and a long tongue. Hard to miss. Whether you believe it or not, the fact of the matter remains, people keep seeing the chupacabra, and it hasn't stopped yet, not even in 2018. And the biggest proof of the chupacabra's existence is quite simply their method of attacking. They pin down the livestock they're after and then drain their blood. Multiple reports of people finding their animals like this have been documented. And now we have to also be worried about a gigantic gargoyle in Puerto Rico. Have you guys heard that yet? Is it the chupacabra or something else we should be afraid of? Is the chupacabra real? To the people who swear to have seen it, it is. But since no one has officially caught one and there is no official evidence, who's to say? Thanks for watching! Do you think some of these monsters might actually exist? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you next time. Bye!